with these big metal poles right here, the conveyor system above them, and these big metal structures in the back over here. That is all brand new automation equipment that just went up that will eventually replace our current mudding and sanding and painting stations. So all of that was installed very, very quickly, and it's just a small taste of what's to come, because we recently placed an order for $15 million worth of automation equipment to completely renovate this factory. So it's just a matter of time really before the rest of the equipment is delivered and installed soon into the building. But Factory 1 is 170,000 square feet. We moved into this building July 2021. Since then, we also opened up Factory 2, which is across the parking lot in the back. And that space is 100,000 square feet. Plus, we also have Factory 3, which is about a 10-minute walk up the road. And that building is 130,000 square feet. So all the production happens in this building, Factory 1. Factory 2 is parts production and research and development, and Factory 3 is warehouse space. So it does give us a combined square footage between all three factories of about 400,000 square feet of manufacturing space. And we are in the planning stage factory yet, which we named Boxzilla. We estimate that one will be between 1 million to 2 million square feet. 20 times larger than this factory, to give you some context, or some kind of reference there. And there is where we plan on building larger units, such as 20 by 30 and 20 by 40 models if everything goes to plan.
Where did all of the, I can't think right now, the automation come from? Is it like, what country is this stuff coming from?
I don't know where it originates from, but I've seen many suppliers come through, technicians from third-party companies help us install that.
Right, so I was just wondering where the automation portion comes from. I'm not so worried about the materials.
I don't know. But to give you some history about Boxable, our first project was for the US government, where we produced 156 units of the Casita Studio, and that order has been fulfilled. Our current production goal is 3,600 casitas per year, which is equal to about 10 casitas per day, or roughly one casita every 60 minutes.
One casita every 60 minutes? That doesn't make sense. How can you're only making 3,600 casitas a year, and you're telling me you can do one every 60 minutes?
No, our goal is to get it up to 10 per day.
Okay. Got it. Casitas?
Yeah, that was our first project.
How long did it take to build the first 150?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
I think I read the goal is like a car manufacturer, one every 10 minutes or something like that.
So if you're able to automation, okay.
Currently we're producing 2 per day, with mostly just manual labor. And that's still a huge improvement over when we first started, where it was taking us 1 month to build each casita. So we've made a lot of progress since then, and we've built over 550 units so far.
How many guys does it take to build one casita per day?
I don't know what the exact number is for our number of employees, but it's about 170 between the office and factory.
I see.
Yeah.
How many states, can you give us a rough estimate? How many states have the most order being placed with you guys, or?
I don't know the exact splits.
Which states? No?
Overall, in the US alone, there's 170,000 reservations just for our one model, the Casita Studio.
But you would know which state taking the most orders?
I don't have that.
No? Okay. All right. Okay.
Is it alright if we take photos of
Left right here, which is called staging. This is really where it all starts, where we grab and assemble the materials needed to construct the casita. And so your casita will be made out of 13 structurally insulated panels. And those panels are primarily made up of 3 materials that make up the floor, walls, and ceiling for the casita. The first material we use is right here on these orange racks. That green tinted material there is galvanized steel, and that'll be the exterior of the casita. This white material down here is called polystyrene, and that will serve as the insulation. It'll be about 6 inches thick. And if you look real close at it, you'll notice all those pre-cut holes and chases that run through the insulation. That's what makes it very efficient when it comes to the wiring for the casita, which runs through the walls. And then for the interior, we use a material called magnesium oxide. And that's like sheetrock or drywall, very similar to those things, but it has special properties that make it mold, fire, water, and bug resistant. And then we also utilize some laminated engineered wood and PVC for the framing of the casita, and that wood is never exposed. But to give you a visual for how all of this fits together, I do have a cutout sample of a casita panel right here. There's also, there you go, you found it already. So those are primarily all the materials we use for the casita panels. You have the exterior material here, the insulation, and then the interior right there. This is that PVC and laminated engineered wood that we use for the framing of the casita. And you might notice we're not using your typical kind of lumber if you look real close at it. We actually do have a supplier that engineers this for us, the wood, and then we cut it down to the sizes that we need in the factory. So the reason why we opted out of using common lumber is because wood is a very inconsistent material. It comes in all kinds of awkward shapes and sizes, that it warps a lot too. And we really need materials that are more compatible with automation equipment.
It's cheaper too.
Yeah. And we actually have one example of some automation taking place already. And currently it's what helps us cut our wood and our PVC. And that machine is like pre-programmed with instructions that tell it how to cut our materials down to the exact specifications we need. So they'll cut the wood and PVC and also glue those two things together on this side to our right.
So this is more like 3D printing kind of thing, right?
No, there's no
No, it's
3D
just
printing
cutting.
going on over here. It's just cutting. That CNC machine is just cutting into the material.
Okay.
Now over here to the left, we have these large storage tanks right here, and a secondary one. We use these tanks to store a polymer-based glue, and that glue is like a super soft rubber. It's non-flammable, and it's what we use to bond our materials together. The glue will travel from these storage tanks over to our glue machines, which are these white and gray machines over here behind the fence with the black and yellow tape. These glue machines will travel down the production line, depositing layers of glue onto the material. So for instance, we'll lay down the first material, like the galvanized steel for example, then the machines pass over and deposit some glue, then we add the next material, and then so on and so forth, until what you end up with is something similar to a layered cake. Here's one example of a completed panel right there on the ground. But once we have those materials bonded together, we move that panel over to our lamination stage, which is this big gray machine behind the fence over there with the black and yellow tape. That is actually a vacuum press, and it works very similar to a vacuum sealed bag, where the panel goes inside the machine, it closes shut, and then it sucks out all the air, creating an even pressure all throughout the panel, allowing the glue to evenly distribute, and that gives our materials a proper cure as well. But once the vacuum press is done with the panel then goes on this white tilt table right here behind the fence with the white prongs sticking up. So that table actually has the ability to tilt up and down, and it makes it very easy to transfer our heavy panels onto our rolling carts, like these ones down here to the right. Floor or ceiling panel. On this white table is where we insert, and that beam is so important because that's what gives our panels the structure and ability to fold. So once that I-beam is installed, we'll get the panel on the rolling carts and then move it over to our next station, which is our power stage. And I will show you the I-beam with the hinge later on as well, where our workers have these large spools of wiring, as you can see over there at the end. They take those wires and they run it through the pre-cut holes and chases in the insulation for the panels that need it. These are a bunch of ceiling panels that you're staring at right now. Panel, for instance, they would also install the power outlets, the light switches, things like that. But once the wiring process is complete, they take the panels from the right and then move it over to our lighting stations. So this is where our workers would mud any seams, any imperfections on the interior walls, and then sand them down so that we have a nice flat surface to paint on. At that point, our workers will paint the interior a nice color of white. So currently we do not have any customization options. Hopefully in the future we will. But for now, the interior will only come in white, and then you will have the ability to paint it whatever you like when you get your casita, basically.
Do they come equipped with a sprinkler system or no?
No, they're not equipped with
Okay.
sprinkler systems at the moment. Although I hear that sometimes that's a requirement in some states. So I think our engineering team is looking into that as well.
New constructions are required in LA as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So we're gonna hang a left right here and then. So this brings us to our assembly stage, which as you'll see when we get off, this one has 11 substations of its own. And this is really where the casita starts to take form and really starts to resemble a home. And if you look up above, you'll notice that we have these large yellow and orange beams up here. These are actually overhead cranes, and they're really there for the safety and efficiency of our workers to move the heavy casita panels, which, by the way, can get pretty heavy, as you can imagine. With the appliances inside, it weighs almost 14,000 pounds. So when we first moved in right here to our right, and then we added the yellow cranes and then the orange cranes later on for more efficiency. So we're still growing within this factory, constantly changing. Another example would be painting and painting will eventually go away, and then those processes will be replaced by that automation equipment that I showed you at the beginning. So let's step out right here and we'll walk through the assembly line. We start with what's called the core of the casita. That's really where most of the value is for that little building. The appliances will be on this little block right here. The cabinets, the countertops, things like that. And then at station 2, they added some of the other outer walls, which will be responsible for both air conditioning or heating on the entire inside of the casita. And the mini split units that we use are rated for 400.
Well, I know the source from where the source is.
For the mini splits?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Where are they from?
Korea.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Out of the divider wall later on, and you'll have the bathroom on the left. So let's keep traveling down. Lower cabinets and upper cabinets have gone in for the bathroom. 30-gallon water heater right there in the corner.
Why not a tankless water heater?
Well, we want to keep everything electric for the appliances, and we found in most situations, and they take up a lot of power. Some RV parks where the casitas will maybe be installed have
To the shower.
yeah.
right.
Well, very minimal shaking.
This is the actual floor?
Yeah.
Waterproof?
We can't say waterproof just in case it does happen. It's water resistant.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this flooring right here will go here.
Correct. Yep. Remove the dishwasher for now.
So you would constantly have to come up with regulations
To meet.
to meet different states and their laws currently, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
So you couldn't put the water dishwashers here?
No, the stove would be in this location here, and then the fridge right next to it.
Oh, I couldn't open the door.
Yeah.
So if certain states require electrical stove, then you have to pre
Electrical stove.
do that for the electrical and gas and so forth.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfold and connect. So currently the roof is folded onto itself, kind of like this. And just like my sample here, the roof has these black rubber gaskets that run the entire length of the roof. And those gaskets become very important for when the roof folds over and closes shut. Those panels interconnect, and those gaskets are what help with the water and dust resistance. So very much like a car door, if you think about it. And on top of that, when the casita is delivered and installed, they'll lay down a roof liner on top of the casita to offer more protection against water going in. So usually they'll add Station 7 as well as the cutouts for the double pane windows. We'll then install those windows under Station 8, as well as the window sills, the trim for the doors, and the doors. Station number 9 is all about electrical, just finalizing the. This would be installed under Station 10 for the floor of the casita. And also all the final touches before the final inspection under Station 11. Aside.
Is the glass UV red glass or no?
I'm sorry, say again?
Glass UV red glass?
You're saying the shower stall doesn't have a.
Yeah.
Have it in somewhere else as well in the U.S.
Yeah, I've heard Paulo, our founder, say it time and time again. We could be very successful if we were just a regional company in Nevada, but that would be a monumental failure in the service to have like this idea. So you want to get it all over the U.S., eventually all over the world, franchise factories all over the place. It was founded in 2017. Yeah, really hit the ground running in 2021. I forgot the technical term. But yeah, Galliano's serial entrepreneur, and then Cal has a background in engineering.
He drives
Yeah.
a red Z06 Corvette out front.
What's that?
He drives a red Z06 Corvette.
No, that's our guy Cody.